Welcome guys, this is Transport Fever 2 and I'm going to show you how to make money easily on very hard difficulty. Obviously you can do it on any difficulty. In 1850 using all three different modes of transport. So the obvious way would just be using trucks. So the best thing to do would be to look for a loop of resources. So that would be three different resources in a chain. So you've got oil, which can go into crude oil that goes into refined oil, which then goes into either fuel or into chemicals. Or you've got logs that go into planks that go into tools. So they're the two different types of chain where there's three different resources. So that's the easiest one to do. So here is an example of that. So I've made a chain, a loop between the oil well, the oil refinery, and the chemical plant. So it's just going to be one continuous loop of trucks going from here to there and back again. Now the way that the money works, the profits in this game, is you earn a profit as long as you're carrying something, and it's the shortest distance as the crow flies. So that's why you want all of your roads as straight as possible, and preferably, if you're lucky, if you're going to make a loop like this of three different things, you want your starting point to be as close as you can to the end point. So this isn't perfect because the starting point is not exactly right next to the end point, but it's only a short journey between there and here that we're not going to be making money. So we're going to make money from there to there, and then from there to there, and then we're not going to make money to there. So we're making more than 50% of our journey making money. Now, one thing that you need to take into account, which can easily be missed if you're a beginner, is things will only produce a resource if the chain that it's linked to is demanding that resource. So for example, this oil well will only produce enough oil for the next thing in the chain to actually use. So the next thing in the chain is this oil refinery, and its production value is 200. But it takes 2 crude oil to make 1 refined oil. So that's 200 times by 2. So this can actually use all 400 of this oil well. So when you are assigning trucks to a line, if you click on the line, it tells you the rate at which you're going to be transporting the goods. So you want that rate to be the same as the amount that you're actually transporting. So because we want to transport 400, we would ideally want this rate to be at 400. Now, that might not be possible in 1850 because of the loading speed of the vehicle or transport that you're using. So you might end up with them getting queued up in a loading bay. So you either want it at 400 because that's what you require for the next thing in the chain, or as close as you can get to that without it queuing up. So after here, the next thing in the chain, so this is going to produce 200 refined oil. This is the next thing in the chain. It's only going to produce 100 chemical plants chemicals. So really, in this chain, we only need 100 refined oil because that's all this can produce. So because we only need 100 refined oil, that means we only need 200 of this crude oil. So the most we want in this line is actually 200 and not 400. If this chemical plant was not in the line, then you could actually transport 400 from here to here, because this would be actually using all 400. Okay, so as you can see here, we aren't quite able to get more than 240 on the rate because we're getting pile-ups. Now you can alleviate the pile-ups a little bit by having a rear entrance as well as a front one, so they don't get in each other's way like here, so there's no stoppages. And then you rotate this so the line coming in goes in here, so this would be facing in this direction, and then the line coming out would come onto this road. So that would make it a bit more efficient. And the other way is having them go anti-clockwise as well, but you don't usually have a choice in which way they go, because you obviously have to go wherever the resources are. But if they were going anti-clockwise rather than clockwise, they'd be coming down the right hand side of this road and out down the right hand side of this road, so there'd be no crossover. So anti-clockwise is always a better option if you can choose, and if you can't choose, you're better off using this system with an in and an out if you're going clockwise. Okay, so that is the ideal way to use trucks. Okay, so here is the setup with two entrances, so they're not getting in each other's way if you're on a clockwise loop. If you're in an anti-clockwise loop, you don't need to do this, just a single entrance will do. And we've got the tiniest little gap here that hasn't got a truck, so we could potentially fit one more truck into this line, but then that's it, just one more truck. So we've currently got a rate of 219, so we won't be able to get that any higher until we actually get some better trucks. So if we have a look, in the past 2 years I earned 45k and 39k, so if you average them both out, then I've been earning around about 42k per year on the road. Problem is we've got a loan interest of 45k, so although the road network is earning us money, the loan is actually cutting into them profits so much that it's putting us into a deficit. So the only way to break out of this with trucks is to borrow more money and set up another line similar to this, another loop. Now you can use loops involving goods in a city, but the problem with that is the demand in the city might not be very high, so you might not get much goods for sale, so it might not be worth the journey. So although it's possible to make a profit with trucks, it's hard going, and there are a lot easier ways to make a profit in 1850 than using trucks. So next up I'll show you the shipping, which is the easiest way to earn a profit, but obviously you need to choose a map that's got water. So we'll move on to that now. Okay, so here we have an island map with lots of water, so lots of potential for shipping lanes. You can do it on the maps that only have a river, but obviously you're a lot more limited in what you can actually get access to. So here we have 3 resources. They're in the chain of what we were using with the trucks. So we could set up the truck line that we were doing in the previous demonstration with trucks, but instead what we're going to do is collect some oil, crude oil, from here. We're going to transport it over. I've actually built two. That's funny. I've built two road depots. So we're going to transport the oil from here to here, and then we're going to shift it via the sea all the way down here to this harbour. Then we're going to move this crude oil into this refinery, so that'll earn us a profit. But obviously the best way to earn a profit is to not have any wasted journeys. So if we were just going to do that and then go home and not collect anything, then half of our journey I wouldn't be transporting any goods, so it'd be a complete wasted journey. So what we're actually going to do, set up a line from this oil well back to the port, so then on the way home he can take some crude oil with him, and then this crude oil that we bring back we're going to drop off at this drop off point, transport it to here, and then refine it here. So we're earning money transporting crude oil one way, and then we're earning money transporting crude oil back the other way. So it's a permanent revenue stream both ways. So this particular route from the oil well to the port is going to earn a bit of money, but it's obviously half of its journey. It's not going to earn anything. And then the same here, moving this crude oil to this refinery, it's going to earn a little bit of money from here to here, but half of its journey it won't be earning anything. And obviously you've got to wait for the harbours as well, the ships to deliver the goods. So the key thing for this is, as you're transporting from here to here for the ships to pick up, you don't want this loading bay to take its resources and move it into this refinery. So you have to make sure it's only covering the dock and not the refinery as well. And then the same up here. You don't want this loading bay to be able to touch the crude oil that's being delivered onto the ship. So you don't want this to cover this drop-off point. You only want it to cover the harbour, because we don't want anything getting transferred via truck basically without the ship's involvement. Okay, so I'll fast forward till we've actually got this set up. So one thing to note is you actually need a vehicle on all of the delivery points for any of the resources to actually start producing. So I forgot to put a vehicle on this. So when I bought all these transports, none of these were actually producing anything, because this wasn't producing anything, because this wasn't here to be able to finish the chain off basically. And also, when I deleted some road here, I accidentally deleted the road that was connecting the harbour directly to the oil refinery. So this wasn't producing anything either. So make sure that everything's connected either directly, like this one is, or via trucks. So even if you've only got one truck on the line like now, You just need one truck on the line to finish the loop off. Right, so we've borrowed as much money as we can so we can get as many ships as we can on the shipping lane, just to speed up the process. So what I'm going to do is every time I earn money, I'm going to keep getting ships on the shipping line until the rate gets to 400, because that's the most that the oil wells can transfer. And there's a chance that I might end up getting into a situation where I've got too many ships for them to load fast enough, or for whatever reason the oil wells might not produce fast enough. Now sometimes the oil wells don't produce fast enough, so they're meant to produce at a rate of 400, but if you connect another chain up that uses less than what the oil well requires, so if the crude oil is 400, that gets turned into 200 refined, but then the 200 refined, I only need 100 of it. Sometimes these oil wells will stop producing the 400 because it knows it only needs 200 to make the final product in the chain. So connecting up the next link can quite often reduce the amount of raw resources that get produced. So you just have to keep an eye on that. So I'll carry on until we've got as many ships as the oil that we're shipping, and then we'll check on what our profits are. Okay, so we've got the truck lines maxed out, so the most oil that these trucks can deliver to the ships is 345. So I built enough ships to go over that, so the ship's rate of delivery is 350. And then I've just completed one round trip from the top dock to the bottom and back up again with the last ship that I built. And just in that one round trip, I managed to pay off the entire 10 million loan that I took out to buy the ships. So if we have a look, this is just off 4 lines. So we've got this truck line which is delivering the oil to the bottom harbour. This truck line is delivering the oil to the top harbour. We've got the shipping lane, and then we've just got this one truck here which is simply there to complete the chain, so the oil wells produce oil. And as we can see, we're earning 46 and 47,000 for each of these truck lanes, and we're earning 3 million from the shipping lane. So if we have a look up here, looks like we had a month there where it was low and then the following month was high, but it's averaging out around about, let's call it 4 million. That one's 4.1, so it's averaging around about 4.1 million, I reckon, per year. That's how much we're earning from the shipping, and then we're earning another 60,000 from the roads. So you can see just how effective a single shipping line can be. So it's by far the easiest way to earn money, mainly because you don't have to spend money on upkeep of the so for example, if you're using railroads, you have to spend upkeep on the rail tracks, which obviously you don't have to do with water. All you're doing is spending the upkeep for the dock itself, and then obviously for the ships. So this is definitely the best route if you want to earn money as fast as you can. So after this, we're going to be doing the train tracks next, which is probably the most awkward because it costs so much money to lay the train tracks, and it can easily be thwarted by hills and bad placement of industry. But we'll see if we can set up a lucrative train line. Okay, so the most important thing with 1850s train lines is to build them as level as possible. So you don't want any humps and dips, basically, because that's just going to slow the speed of the train down, because they've got really bad pulling power. So if you're trying to move a large amount of cargo, you want the train line as perfectly level as possible. And the best way to do that is by building your track directly from each train station. So just click the build track button on one train station, drag it all the way to the other and drop it. So it's going to cost a heck of a lot of money terraforming, digging out all of the hills and building up all of the troughs. But it means that the train line is going to have the best profit margin. So although it's expensive to set up at the beginning, it's the best way to set it up. Now, you want your train to be running really at maximum speed for about 50% of the journey. So if the train station is here and here, then by the time it reaches its midway point, you want it maxed out on speed. So there's no point in adding more cargo if it's going to slow the speed of the train down. So you want at least 50% of the journey maxed out at the speed. And another thing is, don't be tempted to add a second train onto the line, because all this is going to do is create situations where they have to pass each other, which means one of the trains has to slow down or come to a stop, and then it has to build up speed again, which can take a long time with these 1850s trains. So it's just going to damage your economy. It's going to make each line less profitable by adding a second train on. So it's just not worth it. If you are going to want a second train, you're better off just building an entire second train track. So once again, same with the ships. You want resources being transported both directions. You don't want to just have a train that's dropping off and then coming back with nothing. So we've set up a similar situation as with the oil, only this time we're using wood because there was no decent oil positions. So all we're doing is, well, we're starting off over here. We're picking up this wood directly from the train track, then transporting this wood to this planks directly, so it doesn't need a new line. Then we're delivering wood from here down to the train track. Now, once again, you don't want this delivery to be in range of the plank, the sawmill, because you want all of these logs to go directly onto the train. The whole point of this is to earn money, not to actually set up a resource network. This is just a money maker. And then the train's going to come back, drop off the logs here, which are going to be picked up here. And then the same thing again. You don't want this to be in range of the logs here, because you want them to take the logs from the train track basically. And then they're going to come down and drop the logs off over here. Now you're probably not going to earn much money from the trucks themselves, so you might not really need any trucks on this line. You're probably just going to break even or just earn 5 grand or so, and it costs a lot of money to set up. So you may as well spend all of your money on the trains itself and then try and set up another train track somewhere once this is set up to your liking. I mean, what you'd probably do if you've got plenty of logs like we have here, too many logs to transport, you'd just build another train track going down. So we'd actually have to move this across because I don't think we'd have enough space for another train track here. I've built it too close to the sawmill. But that's what you'd do. You're only using these trucks just to make the train lucrative, not to actually earn money from the trucks themselves. So I'm going to see if I can set up a situation where we've actually got a line that's useful rather than just money making. Right, before I do that, I'll just show you the profit margins of this train track. So it's earning around about 500, 430, 450, and then this one is nothing. So what's that, 9, 13 and a half divided by 4, so 300, 350 approximately. So he's earning 350 a month, which is not too bad. It's better than the trucks we're doing, but it's still nowhere near as good as the shipping was doing, obviously. But if you've not got a situation where you can actually use shipping, I do think that this is still a better money maker than trying to use trucks themselves. Okay, so we're back on this first map where we set up a truck line between these three, which was not even earning enough money to pay for the loan interest. So another option that you can do is obviously use the train tracks. So we'd set up a system where we're delivering oil from here down to here, then we're going to move oil from here over to the train track, so the train's got something to carry back, and then once the train's carried the oil back, we're then going to have to shift it over this mountain to the oil refinery here. So it's obviously going to cost a fair bit of money to set this up. There's going to be quite a lot of terraforming required because there's hills in the way, there's a city in the way annoyingly, and then there's obviously this hill in the way here. But I think it's going to be a better scenario than just setting up a truck line. And the added bonus of this is we've got a chemical plant that needs this refinery really close, so it's actually useful, it's not just a money line. And we've also got a fuel refinery right here, which is really close to this oil refinery. So both of these would be useful. So not only would it be making money from the oil, transporting the oil, we would also have a good network for the industry as well. So I'll set that up. Right, so I've got all of the infrastructure placed. I've got truck station going over to this truck station, which is being picked up by the train, which is dropping off here, being delivered from this truck station over to here. Got a nice little road through the mountain. And then back down the mountain again. Nice little slope down there. And then obviously this train station is picking up directly from here. So I haven't built any of the vehicles yet. So we're going to need one truck on here just to complete this line. So this isn't going to earn us any money. So this is here just simply to complete the line. So we're only going to put one truck on it. Then we need the train. So the train, at the beginning, we're just going to have it as cheap as possible. So all we're doing is transporting oil. So we're just going to have one train, one locomotive, and one oil, just to start the line going. And that's going to go from here down to here. Then this needs a lot of trucks on because we're going to need to deliver a load of oil for the train to carry back. What am I doing? So just going to buy one for now. Really, I should have put this truck station all the way over here. So I think I'll move it. And that's all we need at the moment. We obviously could set this up to make sure this doesn't disappear, and we could set a line up from here to make sure this doesn't disappear, because they're in decent locations. As long as they have one truck going between the two transporting goods, then the industry doesn't shut down. So that's what I would do, but that's not what we're doing right at the moment. All I'm doing is showing you how to earn money. So the most important thing is moving as much of this over as we can. So let's see what the rate is. We're on a rate of 4 at the moment. So we're just going to want to keep duplicating. Should have built the truck station on the other side. Oh well. So we're probably going to be able to transfer around about 100 oil, so we don't need that many trucks on here because trains are not very good at transporting in 1850, not like the ships are. So this is probably enough trucks for this, but we may as well set it up with the most that we can actually put on. think that should be plenty. 200. We can actually put around about 400 on if we wanted, but we're not going to bother. We're just going to concentrate on this train. So this is filling up from here. And these trucks are filling this up, so that's nice. Okay, so like I say, you want your train to be travelling at least 50% of the journey at maximum speed. So what we're going to do, we're going to add enough so this turns to poor, and then take the last one off so it's still on mediocre. So we need 1.3 million. And then we'll take a little journey and keep an eye on the speedometer. So far so good. We haven't hit any dips or humps. Looks like a perfectly level track. This is because I built it almost directly from train station to train station. Unfortunately, I had to finish the last couple of yards off without a direct connection. So there might be a little dip at the end, but we're already at maximum speed. And we're halfway. So that looks like the perfect amount that we can carry without damaging our speed. So let's see how much money we earn from this. So we're going to have to wait for 2 years to pass to get a good idea, and then probably 3 or 4 years to pass to be able to average it out and get a pretty spot on idea of how much we're going to earn from it. So we got 440 grand per journey because we're going to get the same amount on the way back. So we could try and sneak a little bit more cargo on, because when I had a look to see the distance between the two, I think I was measuring it between the train depot instead of the actual train yard. So let's keep an eye on it. We're already at 30. And there's not a single hump or dip, which was nice. So yeah, we could probably fit on 1 or 2 more cargoes if we wanted, but I'm not sure if it'd be worth slowing the train down. I mean, to be fair, the longer the line is, as long as there's no humps or dips or sharp turns, adding more cargo on is actually a good thing. It's only with short lines that it makes a difference. Because you want your train travelling as fast as possible, really. But we've got plenty of oil being delivered by the trucks. And at the moment, the trucks are earning... Well, it's hard to tell, really. You have to average it over about 4 years to get a good idea. But it's earning fairly decent money. But it'll be good to see what it is in comparison to the train itself. So yeah, 440k each way. So I'll do a little bit more off camera just to advance about 4 years to get a good idea of an average amount. Okay, so 4 years in a row it earned 76k. So I reckon we can improve on that if we add a bit more cargo to it. So let's see which direction it's going. It's leading into the train station. So let's add on. So we've got 4, 8, we've got 10 on at the moment. So let's add another 5. We need 7.2. So I'm going to advance another 4 years and see if it increases or decreases. So yeah, I realised that I had an anomaly just at the end of the 75k a year, which put up the original train amount to approximately 200k a year. So we're averaging at 200k a year now, so it'll be interesting to see. I'm going to leave it to run another 2 years to see if we get another anomaly which is going to push the averages of this up. Because at the moment it looks like this is 120k a year more, but it might just be because we're not going to get an anomaly like we did on the last one to push the averages up. So the train's only actually travelling about 40% of the distance at max speed now, rather than 60% of the distance like it was before. So I don't think I'd be able to fit any more on without it seriously hindering the speed. But this seems like a pretty decent amount. So yeah, I'll carry on for another 2 years and then I'll let you know. Okay, so this time the anomaly was low, not high. So I do think that this is worse on average. The other one averaged out at 200k over 5 years, where this is averaged out at around about 185 to 190k over 5 years. So I do think that maximum speed for around about 50% of the journey is the best choice, because this is about 40% of the journey and it's a little bit worse than 60%. So I reckon somewhere around 50% is the spot on number. So yeah, in summary, using trucks, in my opinion, is a worse option than using trains. And if you get the option to use ships, then that's considerably better than both of the others. That's my opinion anyway. So I hope this has been helpful. Cheers for watching. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you. See you soon, guys. Take care.